Disaster. Shambles. Pathetic. Awful. Business as usual. All different types of pejoratives, phrases, frustrations, angers and annoyance coming from fellow Manchester United fans today. The window closes, a new young goalkeeper, a new look attacking line, but no new defenders, and maybe even more importantly, no new midfielders. The word shambles has been used a lot today. Pathetic, problematic, worrying, and much more. I'm keeping it quite polite. I'm keeping it quite family friendly when I say this. That is the feeling amongst Manchester United fans when it comes to our transfer window. But I want to know what you think. Whether you're a Man United fan, whether you're a rival, how bad was our window? How bad was Man United's window in reality? And if you're blaming the window, are we creating excuses for Ruben Amorim? How do you see it? Because I always think I've got it figured out. And maybe it's because it's my club and I'm emotional about my club. I second guess myself a lot. I don't know if you do that with Man United, if you're a United fan. I don't know whether you do that about your own football club. But I struggle in that regard. I'm very honest and very open about it. Shambles, pathetic, disgraceful. They're big words. They're big words that hold a lot of meaning. The other day, that's not truthful. A couple of months ago, I was streaming with a Man City fan who said that this City team were losers. And I wouldn't call them losers because I think there is a colloquial understanding that when you call somebody or a group of people losers, you don't just mean they lost a game, they lost a final. You mean they are habitual, pathetic losers that never win. And although I understood he was frustrated with his team and I wanted to banter City, I couldn't use the word losers when talking about them having a bad season. Because the word, for me, wasn't befitting how I truly felt. But shambles. What does it mean? State of chaos, disorder, confusion. Has that been Man United's summer? Confusion, chaos? In some regard, yes. Pathetic is another word that continues to be put against Manchester United. What do you think? Was it heartbreaking? Was it poor? Was it embarrassing? Did it leave you feeling sad? Did it make you think the team's vulnerable? We have to understand the meaning of words when we use them. I don't know if I feel that way. Doesn't mean, and this is the polarized world we live in, doesn't mean I think it's brilliant. Doesn't mean I'm sitting there going, 9 out of 10, we're so ready for the season. I don't feel that way either. If I was to give Man United a score out of 10, it would probably be a 5.5 for the ins and the outs. And that is the profiles we signed, the speed of execution, the amount of money that we spent. And in reverse, who we got rid of, how much we got for them, and how quickly we got the deals done. All in all, I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. And some would say, Terry, I think that is pathetic. I think that is a shambles to only get a 5.5 out of 10. But it's important to understand I'm talking about the whole caboodle. I wish we got rid of some players quicker than we did. But I think that's an indication of how disrespected we are. And the Real Sociedad deal, I think, was a case in point for how disrespected we are in the transfer market. The player had already been there on loan. They knew each other's situations. They knew what the salary was. They knew what they could and couldn't afford all summer. The player refused every other deal to go everywhere else, which would have made us more money, would have resolved the situation quicker. And in the 11th hour, Real Sociedad say, well, we're probably going to have to cancel the deal because we can't afford him. We can't afford these wage demands. They were expecting Man United to roll over and have their belly tickled. We actually did a very good job in that moment to not panic, tell the player that, well, that's fine, you'll sit in the reserves. And we ended up getting the deal done, and we're not paying any money, and they're buying him permanently. That means the wages are gone. It means the problem has been removed, and we've got some money in. And we've done this with a number of deals, and we've done an okay job. We were putting out fires that weren't created by Ineos, but it wasn't great. It was okay, which is why I would score the outgoings probably as a 6.5 out of 10. The incomings is a real difficult one because I love the Šeško, Cunha and Mbeumo deals. Love them. Absolutely love them. One of the biggest problems at Manchester United so far this season has been a lack of goals. Now, don't be triggered by this on screen. This is the beginning of the season, and this shows total goals scored versus expected goals. Manchester United have the best XG in the league so far. We have of all the big six teams, and we have the worst conversion rate. Liverpool haven't really created that many clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities, but have scored 8 goals so far this season. Man United with 4 goals, with almost double the opportunities created. That's been Man United's biggest issue, as you can clearly see. Putting balls into the back of the net. The second biggest issue at Manchester United has been goalkeeping errors. That's why when I look at our window, as much as I like the attackers, I called this out in early July and I haven't changed my mind. We needed those 3 attackers in really for the vast majority of pre-season. So they started the season fit, ready and raring to go. I'm seeing Amorim get a lot of stick and a lot of criticism for not starting Šeško in the last 2 Premier League games. Even though he's telling everybody it's because he isn't fit enough. He wasn't even meant to get 90 minutes against Grimsby, but had to stay on because of the pathetic goalkeeping and the pathetic performance from other players on the night. And he wasn't then ready to play from the beginning against Burnley, a game in which we did win, if we're being absolutely honest. Cunha and Mbeumo, I've been really impressed with the way they play, but they didn't get much pre-season together. They're kind of being played out of position because Šeško isn't ready, so it's been a little bit of a mess. That is to do with speed of execution and getting those deals in earlier. I was happy for it to take up until pre-season, but they really needed the pre-season games together, and we didn't give Ruben Amorim that. You then have the situation within goal. The second biggest problem so far this season. The midfield's an issue, and we're going to get to it, but it's our goalkeeping. The goal against Arsenal, we at least draw the game if Bayern Dare doesn't push the ball into his own net. Doesn't concede essentially from a corner. The Fulham game, where did their confidence come from, Fulham? All the crosses, all the balls, all the set pieces into the box. Bayern Dare, flap, 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 flap. Grimsby, listen, people will hate this, but they hate it because it's the truth. Both the goals Grimsby scored should never have happened. The goalkeeper, even if you just take it right down to the goalkeeper, he should be saving and catching that ball. The game would have been different. The Burnley game, it was some poor defending in that. I won't blame the goalkeepers, but we've definitely conceded goals and lost confidence in games because of those 2 things. So when I look at the fact that the goalkeeper's come in today, as excited as I am to see Lemains, as happy as I am that we've reinvigorated our front line, because they've been done so late in the window, the pressure's already mounted upon the team and Amorim. We haven't got the results needed to match the performances because we haven't got the deals done soon enough. So as much as I look at the new attacking line and goalkeeper, and I'd probably score them on a profile level a 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I really like what we've done. The prices and the structures on the players, again, would probably be an 8 out of 10. They get a 2 out of 10 for timing. So for me, they come in and you're sitting there. For me, I'm just going to go in the middle of all of it and give it a 5 out of 10. Then we didn't address the midfield. And look, I think we're in the top 5, top 6 teams in the Premier League for possession. It isn't, yes, we get run through a bit when we get caught in possession or an attack breaks down. There isn't the legs in the midfield to cover the ground. But most teams actually are quite susceptible to that. And it's why when Arsenal and Liverpool played on Sunday, there wasn't this... neither team overcommitted and took too many risks when attacking because they were worried about the holes it would leave in behind for counter-attacks. But we've done nothing to address it whatsoever. And I think Ruben Amorim and the squad has been left short, especially with Toby Collier going out on loan. Now, there is talk of young Kone coming through and being used more this year, but he didn't kick a ball at pre-season. He's had a bad head injury at the start of the campaign. So let's see how that one transpires. Man United are already doing the briefing nonsense where they're saying the club is not in a rush or panicking to get all its business done this summer, and they will now move on to January and next summer to bolster the midfield and make those improvements. And I'm sure they will come at some point. The fear factor for me isn't even about how this directly impacts the club. It's more about the way the fans feel. I'm already seeing these conversations. You can't say Ruben hasn't been backed because then you're giving him excuses not to perform. There's people saying we can't be calling the manager out when he hasn't been fully backed or is being fully backed. I think there are areas where he has been massively backed. The fact that the bomb squad, he was able to ostracize them and they backed him and they actually moved all the players barring Malacia on. I don't really think Malacia is a problem player, if I'm being honest, like the others were. I think they've gone out and spent a lot of money bolstering the attack, so they should expect more goals. There are also areas that haven't been addressed or addressed timely enough. And this is the one bit that I do find pathetic. This is the bit that I'm calling a disgrace. As per the title of the video, you've just got to have tuned in this long to get there. If you haven't waited this long, shame on you. And your stupid comment that's probably followed that makes no sense to the rest of us that are sitting there going, look at this idiot, he's wrote a comment that makes no sense. The pathetic element is us, the fans, that are being polarized. I'm not giving the manager any leeway versus I'm not giving the manager any criticism because he hasn't been backed. Both those groups of people are so wrong. There is a happy medium. There is a balance that we should all be sitting in. We should be expecting less goals to be conceded this season, less chances to be conceded this season because there's been a pre-season. There is a new goalkeeper. The manager's had time to fix mistakes. We should be expecting more goals because £190 million has been spent on attacking players, and I would expect us to score more goals this season. Am I expecting perfection? No. What are you even holding the manager to the standard of? If your standard for Ruben Amorim is I need the end, I'm putting the end goal standard title. If we are not title contending, manager's got to go. If you're doing that, then I just think you're setting a standard that you know isn't going to be achieved, so you can push the narrative for the manager to go. I just personally think you're doing that. Equally, if you're setting the standard so low that you don't expect almost any improvement because he hasn't been fully backed and the squad isn't complete yet, and there's still massive holes everywhere in the club, then I think you're underplaying what we need from a head coach and a manager right now. And that is to improve us. That is to get us back into the top 8. That is to push us towards fighting for these European positions, to become a harder team to beat, to become a side that teams are a little more scared of. Then you go out in the January, then you go out in the summer and you add more to that squad, more to that team, into that system to go to that next level. I just don't understand why there isn't that balance. And you might think it's because the manager is a fraud, and that's absolutely fine if you do. But at least, but what I would like you to do if you think that is explain what your expectations are and why you believe that's attainable, why you think that's achievable, and why you think that's fair. Because my view of a lot of these conversations is people in both directions want to set unattainable, unrealistic, ridiculous goals, or very basic, very, very vague, very easy targets to achieve so they can say, we achieved what we needed to do this year. I want to know why no one is living in reality in these two groups, why no one is living in reality and living in the real world when it comes to where we are. There's a maximum we can improve. Even if we added Belieber, there's still only a maximum level that we'd be able to get to this year. But I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions on that. Have Man United had a pitiful, a poor, a poignant, a pathetic, a disgraceful, a horrible transfer window? Or is that being slightly over-egged? I'd love your thoughts. I'd love your opinions in the comments section below. And we'll see you all again soon.